Hi there, fellow humans, and welcome to Just Another Human. I am Mihu, and I am here to bring you some of the craziest, funniest, and downright strange stories from my life. Whether it's a total random mishap or something that just makes you wonder, how did that happen? You will find it here. So sit back, relax, and get ready, because this is just another human.
Hi, it's Mihu. Last time I shared my first impressions of Australia, and today I want to dive a bit deeper specifically into my work-away experience. Let me just say it up front. I've totally fallen in love with Australia. And in this episode, I will talk about what it's been like to live, work, and explore Melbourne for a few weeks through this amazing platform. So, have you heard of Workaway? It's a website that connects travelers with local hosts around the world. In exchange for a few hours of help each day, you get free accommodation and sometimes meal too. It's a great way to save money, meet people, and experience real local life. After I decided to come to Melbourne, I found a host living in the eastern suburb. She has two lovely kids. One's 15, the other 10, and she was looking for someone to help with cleaning, video editing, and assisting in her cooking classes. And she also wanted to learn Japanese. I thought, that's perfect for me. So I messaged her, we had a chat, and she accepted my request. She told me I'd be staying in her cooking studio, so I imagined a small classroom style kitchen or something similar. But when I arrived and opened the door, I was shocked. It wasn't just a cooking studio. It was a fully equipped, beautiful apartment. Apparently, she also uses it as an Airbnb, so it has everything: a kitchen, three bedrooms, a bathroom, and even a piano. And just like that, I started living alone in Melbourne. Well, sort of. Now, about the job itself. My main role was video editing and graphic design. My host travels a lot with her family and shares her trips on YouTube. So she asked me to edit a video about their Bali trip and to design a photo book of their travel in Europe. It was challenging since this was my first time doing freelance creative work abroad, but I was excited to take it on. In addition to the creative work, I helped clean the Airbnb for the next guests. That was another first for me. Making beds perfectly was surprisingly hard, and I found myself thinking, why didn't I work at hotel before? But I learned a lot about hospitality from my host. She pays attention to every tiny detail to make guests feel comfortable and cared for. That reminded me of a trip I took to Copenhagen. I stayed in a beautiful apartment that totally captured the Scandinavian life I had dreamed of. But then I found rabbit droppings on the floor. Can you believe that? Plus, the floor was sandy, there was food scraps in the sink, and hair stuck on the shampoo bottle. We ended up leaving the place after a long back and forth with the host and Airbnb. We only paid half in the end, but it still felt expensive. This experience made me understand how important it is to prepare a clean, welcoming space for guests. But at this time, I also realized how much work it takes to do that. Towards the end of the month, I got to join one of my host's cooking classes. We made Chinese dumplings together, and I prepared a Japanese soup called osumashi. It looks simple, but it's surprisingly tricky to make. I cut carrots into plum flower shapes, blanched spinach, and cooled it to keep the color vivid. Salted prawns, peeled and divide them. And finally, shimmered everything together. There were so many steps, but I was happy to see everyone enjoying the result. And of course, their dumplings and her Taiwanese noodles were absolutely delicious. I really enjoyed the class. While Airbnb guests were staying in the studio, I stayed in her house, and it gave me a new perspective. I realized that teenagers are pretty much the same everywhere. I've worked with kids aged 6 to 15 at kids camps, so I'm used to seeing they jump, shout, play, ignore adults, and be super cute. But this time, I saw them at home, in their everyday routine. They'd wake up early, eat breakfast, go to school, come back at 4, play games, make a bit of a mess. And I found myself thinking, mothers deserve so much respect. Honestly, I was probably the most difficult child in my family too. Sorry, mom. One Friday night, we played a board game together, and it was so fun. I won, childishly, but it still counts. My host also took me out on a few adventures. One of the highlights was visiting the Yarra Valley, a wine region close to Melbourne. I love wine, and actually, one of the reasons I chose Australia was because of Devorsary, a famous winery brand. I had no idea the vineyard was so close by. We did a wine tasting and bought 3 bottles each. While we were drinking, we also talked about how we first learned to drink and about alcohol culture and harassment issues in Japan. Another time, we went to her friend's house for Chinese hot pot party, which I love. It's healthy, delicious, and always makes me feel good. Looking back on these 3 weeks, I can say for sure this was one of the most important experiences of my life. I got to talk a lot, not just about our countries, but also personal stories like ex-boyfriends, how to eat avocados, and what happened when kids got lost abroad, or how each of us was raised by our parents. I learned from them how to drive, we cooked together, shared wine, and laughed over dinner. It felt like being part of a real family, not just a guest. It was completely different from my trip to Europe last year. And finally, I want to share something useful. Here is what I learned about how to get a reply from a Workaway host. The secret: write a unique message, just like in marketing or sales. I sent 8 messages to hosts in Melbourne, but only 2 replied. And they were the ones where I put in the most effort. I tried to show my personality, share my skills and experience, express my excitement and goals, and even talk about my nerdy creative side. Saying, I'm 28 from Japan, a designer, TD, and like kids. just isn't enough. Most hosts receive hundreds of messages like that. And to be honest, I think many hosts prefer fluent English speakers. Since I'm still not fluent, I knew I had to make up for it with stronger hook. Something that would stand out and build trust. These days, it feels harder and harder to meet new people and form real, respectful connections. So, I'm truly thankful to my amazing host for opening her home and heart to me. She is the reason I fell in love with Melbourne. And I want to say thank you again, right here.
Thanks for listening. Until next time. Bye bye. Sayonara.